against Mike Pelfrey. Shane Victorino did have one of the 3 Philly hits last night, extended his hitting streak to 15 straight games, and he'll go up against Mike Pelfrey this evening.
Well, Pelfrey with his win going to 3-0 in his last start against Philadelphia. Now 21-20 in his career. Gave up 3 earned runs in those 5 1/3 inning of work against Philly. 13 walks and 6 strikeouts. Very unusual.
Unusual, particularly for a guy who's 3-0, but Pelfrey will be trying to cut down on those walks as he faces the Phillies tonight. Jimmy Rollins to lead things off. Rollins 1 for 4 last night. And Pelfrey starts off the night with a fastball popped up shallow left. Reyes out, Tatis in, and it lands, and Rollins winds up on first base. First pitch of the game, a bloop single for Rollins, and the Phillies have a man on.
Fastball, too much play, beats Rollins right here, and what are you going to do? Sometimes they hit him where they ain't, as the baseball terminology. In the Lexus Metzi defense, Tatis out in left field. You can see 6 errors in the last 6 games. That has been, the Mets have been playing pretty good defense all year. Sheffield gets a start in right field. Castro behind the plate. Same characters out there on that infield, and that league leading hitter out there. Beltran had his hitting streak snap last night.
So here's Victorino, who's got his hitting streak going at 15 games. Victorino now at 306 on the year.
Pelfrey in the last start against Philadelphia, almost predominantly first pitch fastball into left-handed hitters. Be interesting to see if Philadelphia makes an adjustment and looks in there early in the count.
I agree with you, Ron. Pelfrey, his last outing against Philly, really established inside, and it'll be curious to see if those Philly hitters, particularly the left-hand hitters, you know he's going to throw the righties in, but he was throwing the lefties in predominantly in Philadelphia.
Gave up 7 hits and 4 walks in his 5 1/3 in Philly. Hit to center right at Beltran, who barely has to move for the first out of the game. Beltran standing in that strip of sunshine out in center field. It's the only sun on the field right now, but it's amazing that there is even any sunshine to talk about after the weather we had earlier today.
This is the first time ever I was in Manhattan, and it was raining so hard I said I'm going to leave a little later, because I mean it was just so bad out there. No way to make it to the train without getting soaking wet.
Here's Chase Utley, 0 for 3 last night, has a couple of home runs in his career against Pelfrey in 12 at bats.
Well, one of the keys to last night's ball game, obviously only 3 hits by the Phillies last night. They out-hit the Mets. They handled this guy in Howard, and that's all Mr. Santana. Boy, he is just the #1 pitcher in baseball today. There's no question.
Ryan Howard on deck. But the Phillies also got their introduction to Citi Field. Utley hit a ball last night to the warning track in left field that easily would have been a home run in Philadelphia, but it's a different kind of ballpark, and it's going to hold a lot more fly balls.
And as I said last night, Gary, I think it's an advantage to the Mets because the Phillies rely on the long ball much more than the Mets do. There's the man.
Well, he has had a lot to do with it, but in the first 13 games at Citi Field, there have been only 100 runs scored. And of all the stadiums that have opened since 1990, that's 24 different stadiums. Only one new ballpark has produced fewer runs in the first 13 games, and that was Comerica Park in Detroit. Here's the 1-1, and Utley takes low, and it's 2-1. So it's playing about the way we expected it to. Now, you know, in Detroit, the hitters got so upset they moved the fences in. I think the Mets, though, are very happy with the way this ballpark is playing.
You know, to their credit, you have not heard any of the Met hitters say one thing about this ballpark playing too big.
At least publicly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if they win, there's no reason to complain.
That's right.
Rollins standing on the bag. This is what the Mets have done so far this year, home and away, and batting average is higher away, more home runs away, obviously fewer triples, and they've scored more runs. 1-loss record just about the same.
Clearly given the signs to Castro.
2-1 to Utley with Howard to follow. Rollins runs. Utley hits one toward the middle. Castillo is there to play it. And that's the second out as Rollins moves up.
Oh boy, almost hit Jimmy. Looked like a gazelle leaping over that ball.
Yeah, Jimmy had to make like Edwin Moses.
He didn't see the ball coming. He wasn't even looking.
He was fortunate he got out of the way because he was not looking. He jumped when it was past him.
You know what? Castillo moving over indicated to him that the ball was coming his way.
So Rollins in scoring position with 2 down. And now Ryan Howard, who took an 0 for last night, 0 for 4 and struck out 3 times, twice against Santana and then once memorably against Pedro Feliciano with the tying run at 3rd in the 8th. Well, Feliciano did a great job on him. The fastball away to Howard, 1-0. Ryan Howard, 5 home runs this year. He's hit as many as 58 in a season.
And there's not the full shift.
Fouled away right off the end of the bat. Might have broken it. And it's 1-1. For Ryan Howard, former Rookie of the Year, former Most Valuable Player. And if you hit 47, 48 home runs as a minimum every year, you're going to be right in that MVP talk every year.
That's right.
I tell you what, I do not want to diminish Howard's accomplishments. You've got to do it, but I would love to have seen Mike Schmidt play in Citizens Bank Park.
He would have hit a few more. Lifted toward the left field corner. That's going to fall for an extra base hit, and the Phillies take the early lead. Rollins trots in to score, and Howard into second with an RBI double, and it's 1-0 Phillies.
Well, he takes a page out of Carlos Delgado's book there. Howard going the other way. And this is pitches up. That's the difference. And nice and level on that belt high fastball away and went right with it.
Well, seeing the pitch differential. Wants that ball down on the knees and that ball up and out over the plate. And if you try to pitch Ryan Howard there, no shot.
Ball looked like it was almost a ball outside.
So now Jason Worth, who had a miserable night last night, but starts his night tonight with a base hit. Howard will have to stop at 3rd, and the Phillies have runners at the corners. Well, Worth, who had a rough go of it last night, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, and that hesitation in right field that led to the only run, jumps on Pelfrey's first.
Interesting though, Keith, right ball inside first pitch. Philadelphia hitters jumping on that pitch.
And looking in, I'm sure Worth right there. If you're going to face Pelfrey and your right-hand hitter with that vicious hard sinker, you got to look area on him, either middle in or middle away.
So here's Raul Ibanez, 1 for 4 last night, had a double. Hit in the gap in left center. Right now 6th in the National League with his .347 batting average. Phillies with a run home and looking for more. And Ibanez lays off the sinker. It's 1-0.
Pitch Ibanez. I know it's early, but he is red hot. Ibanez. What a pickup for this Philly club. The only problem is Phillies is off to a great start in the on-deck circle.
The Phillies are averaging 5.8 runs per game. They can score, even if they were held in check last night. There's Phillies, who's sitting over 300 himself. So a hard-working first inning for Pelfrey. Gave up the blue pit to Rollins to start the inning, and then the opposite field double to Howard. Now Worth at first. He can steal a base, and Pelfrey's aware of that. Pelfrey's done a nice job holding runners on.
He has done a nice job. Good quick move.
I don't think Ibanez is going to. Worth is going to try to steal here with Ibanez up.
Keep that hole open.
Keep the hole open for him.
Pelfrey behind 2-0 on Ibanez. And it's low and away, and it's 3-0.
I think they're going to pick their poison, and it's going to be Phillies. There's Charlie.
See what the Phillies have done so far this year, leading the league in runs per game. Last night the Phillies were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They're already 2 for 2 in the first inning tonight. Ibanez swinging on 3-0, and Pelfrey will take that and take it to the dugout, happy to have allowed just 1 run in that opening inning. Mets come to bat against Jamie Moyer in the bottom of the first, down 1-0. 50th win tonight.
In his 590th start. There's only 10 left-handers in the history of the game that have won more games than Jamie.
Jose Reyes trying to fight his way out of a slump, not just overall where he's 3 for his last 34, but he's 0 for his last 26 against the Phillies. And Moyer works him away 1-1. So it has been a real slog for Reyes, whose season batting average is down to 248. And that's what Moyer does, doesn't he? Gets you lunging, 1-2.
If he can expand that strike zone and get you swinging at bad pitches, then as a hitter, you're playing right into his hands.
The one thing he does, though, that Tommy Glavine didn't do as much here, is that he will pop you inside, the right-handed hitter, and keep you honest, and then go back outside.
Ahead on Reyes, 1-2. Check swing foul at the plate. Came up and hit the bat. Now Moyer is trying to become the 44th pitcher ever to reach 250 victories. What's amazing about that is that when he turned 30, he had only 34 big league wins. Life began at 30 for Moyer. After starting his career with the Cubs and having middling success at best and kicking around for a while, he found a home in Seattle and he took off from there. And Reyes chases one, and Moyer strikes out the first man to face him tonight. And Reyes looking all messed up.
Well, Reyes was swinging at the outside pitch, Ronnie. He just kept on running it out there further.
And throwing it slower and slower and slower.
And the Phillies defense, and it was the same lineup as last night, so it's the same group out there. Of course, Worth in right field. I love him in the outfield. He said in that play last night, Gary, that when he got the ball down the line with Delgado scored on, that he was disoriented and he wasn't sure where home plate was. And that's why he double clutched. I find that amazing.
It's in the same place in every ballpark.
It's 90 feet from third base.
I was wondering maybe he thought it was over the Bud Light sign in left field.
By the way, there's one point about that play last night that we need to clarify as Castillo takes out of the strike zone 2-0. We said, I think, during the broadcast last night that Razor Shines was holding up Carlos Delgado.
Yes.
We finally got a shot of that this afternoon, and it turns out Razor was waving him home.
One thing we know about Razor, when in doubt, he will be aggressive at third base, force the team to make the good cutoff throw, the good relay, the good throw home. He's a very aggressive third base coach.
Yeah, Castillo doesn't chase, and it's 3-1. Here's a shot of the play where we can see Razor. Phillies throwing the ball away. And then it's off to the races. And there's Razor. See, he's waving him. He's telling Tatis to stop.
Correct.
Castillo walks on the 3-1 pitch, and the Mets have a one-out base runner. Moyer, remember, has struggled with his control in the game against the Mets on Saturday. Everybody who pitched in that game did. There were 18 walks in that 10-inning game, but Moyer walked 4 in his 5 2/3, and that's unlike him.
Well, Moyer is a guy offensively where you really have to be patient as a hitter.
So here's Beltran, still leading the league in batting at .388. Has not had very many right-handed at-bats. None of the Mets switch hitters have. In fact, Moyer facing the Mets for the second time. That makes 3 times the Mets have faced a left-handed starter this season in 27 games.
Oh,
and
boy.
Moyer behind 2-0.
Well, he needs that call, Ronnie, doesn't he, against those right-handers?
And he will be letting Angel Hernandez know after this inning that he needs that pitch. One thing about Moyer, though, sometimes he's one of the few pitchers at 2-0, he probably has you right where he wants you.
Beltran fouls it off. Beltran has had 57 at-bats in his career against Moyer without a home run. That's the most at-bats Beltran has had against any pitcher against whom he does not have a home run. Doesn't give you a lot of fat stuff right over the plate, does it?
Jamie, of course, his first year. We were in our heyday in 1986. He made a start against the Philadelphia Phillies, and I believe he beat Steve Carlton.
First start in the big leagues. Won 7-4 that year.
I've
He had 16 starts.
I've just been informed that I had 2 home runs off Jamie. I only remember 1.
There goes Reyes. Castillo. The throw by Ruiz, not in time, and Castillo has his first stolen base of the season.
Well, good throw by Ruiz here. It's just Louis gets too good a jump. Nothing you can do about that. Oh, not a great jump. Wow, good speed.
That's that front leg. Does it get on the bag or is it up in the air?
Is Jamie's a pretty quick home, isn't he?
Yeah, usually he is, but he kind of tries to time it.
Third stolen base against Moyer this year without anybody getting caught. Yeah, this is a rarity. It's not often that we do games here involving players that you guys played against.
That's what it takes to run a 46-year-old.
Knocked down by Ruiz, and it's 3-2. Well, how different is Moyer now than he was back when you faced him?
He threw him obviously harder. I don't recall. I do remember the 1 home run I hit off him. The wind was blowing out to left, and he threw me a fastball up and away, and then I got it. I hit it good, but it got in the wind. It went way out. But I don't recall, Gary. I know I got 15 at bats off him. I can't. My memory can't bring it back.
Beltran socks one deep down the left field line, but foul.
Keith, early in his career, he was a fastball curveball pitcher, and now he's become a fastball changeup pitcher.
And you know what's ironic about that, Gary, is that that's what Glavine was when he first got called up. Yep. He was a sinker, hard sinker, curveball pitcher. Did not have the changeup.
Hit to left field and hit well. Back goes Ibanez, looking up, and it's out of here. Carlos Beltran with a 2-run homer. His first ever against Jamie Moyer, and he gives the Mets a 2-1 lead. No, it only took him 58 at bats against the old master, but he finally found the range. 5th of the year for Beltran, 2-1 New York.
Keith, I think he got a changeup right up in the strike zone.
Well, we know that Carlos is a belt high up hitter both sides of the plate. It's outside, but it's up. And Carlos, Gary, you mentioned it last night, doesn't let go of his bat left-handed. He keeps both hands on the bat, but right-handed, watch him let go. And Moyer knew he made a mistake.
Well, when you're 46, you know that sound.
Now Delgado, who has 8 home runs in his career against Moyer.
Well, it's supposed to be down and away. He really wanted that in the dirt, Ruiz, and that ball just stayed like it was on a tee.
2-0 to Delgado, who chugged home with the only run of the game last night. And Moyer falls behind him 3-0. Well, somebody else is now first on Beltran's list of homerless at bats. That would be Esteban Loaiza, 39 at bats for Beltran without a home run.
I think that's going to stay there, Gary, by the way.
Well, unless Loaiza makes another comeback.
You're right.
He pitched in the WBC for Mexico.
That's right. You saw that interaction.
Hit hard and a base hit down the line for Delgado. Chased into the corner is Worth. And Delgado pulls into second base with a double. So back-to-back extra base hits for the Carloses.
Nice balance by, that's a great angle for you kids watching at home, the left-hand hitter. That was a beautiful shot of Carlos just staying right up the plate, not lunging, staying back. Beautiful swing.
That's the 32nd hit for Delgado against Jamie Moyer, including the 8 home runs. Now David Wright will try and get him in. David 0 for 2 last night. And he takes a strike. Wright hitting a .293 on the year. It's off to a fast start after Pelfrey was touched for a run on the top of the inning.
Oh boy, good rip.
It's funny how these things work. Chano Park was struggling so mightily, and the Mets couldn't do anything against him last night. Now tonight, Pelfrey gives up a quick run, and the Mets jump on Moyer.
Which has been unusual for the Mets. Now they come back from 3 runs a few days ago. get back on top after Pelfrey gives up one in the first.
There is certainly a little better rhythm these last few days. 1 and 2 to right. And the most amazing part about it to me over this last week is the Mets are playing well and winning games with Reyes contributing almost nothing.
It's just a matter of time before Jose gets it going. And I tell you what, it takes a lot of pressure off too.
Into center field, and that's hit well. Back goes Victorino, gets turned around at the wall, and it's out of here! David Wright with a 2-run homer, and it's 4-1 New York. Third of the year for Wright, dead central. 2 2-run homers in the inning, and the Mets put up a 4 spot against Moyer.
This is a pitch that's been giving David trouble. Upstairs. Down enough. That's just right down Broadway.
He just doesn't have enough on his fastball, Keith, to throw upstairs to David anyways. And who said this was a big field?
To make it look small here in the bottom of the first. Now the Mets came into the day with only 19 home runs, third from the bottom of the league. 2 in the first inning tonight. That's 9 now that Moyer has allowed this season. Only Brett Myers, his teammate, has allowed more. Myers has given up 10. Phillies starting pitching has been a concern, and the Mets have tagged Moyer here in the first inning tonight. Here's Sheffield, who has great numbers against Moyer, and he takes ball 1.
Well, there it is.
Now, who retrieves that? Is there an executive in charge of the Apple who gets to go out there and clean up that area? I mean, we've seen other ballparks where in similar areas fans would pour out of the stands and pick up the ball, but not here. You can't get over the railing without hurting yourself.
The ballpark in Arlington, they do that in center field.
2-0 to Sheffield, and that's in tight, and Moyer's behind 3-0.
Gotta believe the Moyer, you talked about him in the last outing with all the walks, so uncharacteristic. I think a lot of it is to do with his lineup. He knows he has to be so perfect.
Sheffield takes ball 4. That's 5 straight now have reached base, starting with Castillo's 1-out walk. Beltran hit the 2-run homer. Delgado doubled. Wright with the 2-run homer, and now Sheffield the second walk of the inning.
That is Sheffield's 10th walk of the year. He has a terrific eye at the plate. There's the 2 bombers tonight.
Now Fernando Tatis getting the start in left field for the first time this year. And he has been swinging the bat well. Had the pinch hit, broken bat dribbler that led to the only run last night. And he takes an off-speed pitch for a strike.
The Mets are enjoying the 2-run home run of late, right? Same thing in Atlanta.
Yep. A 2 in 1 inning there by Beltran and Wright. Same duo. That was in Monday's game. And Tatis pops one into shallow center for Victorino. That's the second out. So 2 away. And now the number 8 hitter, Ramon Castro, will come to the plate.
I have got to believe that the Philadelphia Phillies have grave concerns about their starting pitching. I don't care what kind of lineup you have, what kind of bandbox you're playing. You cannot ask your offense over a course of 162 to carry the load for you. Eventually it's going to whittle them down.
Agreed.
Well, especially if their ace can't stay healthy and get it in gear. Hamel's supposed to pitch tomorrow night against the Braves after turning his ankle in his last start.
It's funny in baseball, Gary. Each hand feeds the other. You have good pitching, it takes the pressure off the hitting. You have good hitting, it takes the pressure off the pitching.
Castro hitting at 286. Well, this is what they've done so far this year, and it's just been a mess. Really nobody you can point to in that quintet and say he's off to a good start.
Well, they can look to Blanton and Park, who had 2 good starts the last time out, and hope that that's a sign they're turning it around. But Meyer has just been getting rocked.
It's interesting. He had an amazing spring training, Brett Myers. And maybe with the length of spring training, he had it going right in the middle of it and lost it again.
1-2 to Castro. And Moyer checks in on Sheffield.
Castro touched Moyer up for a home run at Citizens Bank Park last week.
Dead center. Just about where Wright just hit his. Castro's been swinging much better under the competition being posed by Omir Santos. Pops this one out to shortstop. And Rollins throws out Castro to win the inning, but a very big first inning for the Mets. Jamie Moyer touched up for a pair of 2-run homers. Carlos Beltran hits his 5th of the year to give the Mets the lead. And David Wright, with his 3rd, goes dead central to put the Mets up 4-1. He's 8-3. Well, Brian Bannister keeps on rolling after his exile to the minors. 6 shutout innings today. The Royals have now won 6 in a row. And the other big story today, the biggest story in baseball, Manny Ramirez suspended 50 games for performance-enhancing drugs. Pedro Feliz takes a strike, and I think we've reached the point in the evolution of the quote-unquote steroid era that it's just not shocking anymore when somebody else is implicated in whatever fashion they are, as Feliz leads off the second with a base hit up the middle.
Well, I'm always shocked by the timing of it, Gary, but I will say that what I was shocked at is that you have these foreign thoughts in your head where you go, boy, you know, I know they're testing, but never seem to have a big name get caught. And that's out the window. This is the biggest of all names, of course, with Manny being caught today.
Well, you know, if all the stars, basically, almost the great majority of this the home run era, which maybe we're going to change the name of the home run era, but it's a bad day for baseball, that is for sure.
Broken bat grounder by Ruiz. Wright gets the out at second. Jumping relay by Castillo, and they turn 2. Nicely done for the 5-4-3 double play.
Well, slow roller right here. Wright does a good job, and Louis does a great job hanging in because he's getting someone sliding right into him. A nice, easy little short hop. Let's see what's up with Ramon right here. Ooh. Oh, my goodness. It's a left hook and knocked him down.
That's one catcher blocking the other. Well, Ramon, big target back there. And he appears to be all right. Now Jamie Moyer will bat.
But the question I had today, Gary, is as soon as I heard, I was thinking about it, and we always go to the numbers and this or that. My thing is that the Dodgers have got off to such a great start. They've almost buried the National League West with a guy who tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Andre Ethiers got off to the greatest start in his career. He's been a big reason for it with Manny batting behind him. And where's the recourse for the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the Giants, as this team that had a guy who was cheating has gotten off to this great start?
I think that's fair, Ronnie.
Yeah.
But I think the problem that baseball has is, for as much as they want to trumpet that it's now under control and that the steroid era is over, the fact of the matter is they still can't test for HGH. Every player on every team might be dirty, and there's no way of finding out. So, how can you say that those players on the other team are
You're right. You're right. Absolutely.
All we know is that Manny was foolish enough to get caught by taking what apparently was a female fertility drug. And why would he do that?
Supposedly, it's only one of its main purposes is someone coming off a cycle of steroids.
It's a masking agent.
So. And another thing that baseball does not do, baseball doesn't test for HGH, but they don't test for masking agents, and I don't understand that. To me, I think they got to go by the rules of the IOC and test the way the Olympic Committee does.
Well, after Santana walked Park twice last night, now Pelfrey walks Jamie Moyer. Well, the other thing about it is that the union has been very resistant to blood testing. Right now, all we have is urine testing in baseball.
Yeah.
There is an HGH test that is a blood test. I guess there's some question about whether it's 100% reliable, but the union, I would think at this point, has got to understand that if this game is ever to get clean, and if the perception of the game is ever to get clean, then anything possible, including blood testing, has got to be on the table.
Well, I believe this. You say the union, where it's going to come from and where it will change if it comes from the players. The players have to tell the union, the players that are clean have to go to the union and say, listen, enough's enough now. I don't want to be lumped into this whole sum of people. Because maybe I haven't done it, as Jamie Moyer takes forever to put his jacket on. It's got to come to the players. The players have to go as a group and say, this is nonsense. What's the best test? That's what we're using. And it can change every year depending on how good the test is.
Rollins takes ball one. Since the quote-unquote steroid era began, there have been 10 guys reach 500 home runs. And on that list, those are the 10. There are really only 3 guys who have not been implicated. Thome, Frank Thomas, and Griffey. The other 7 guys have all either failed to test or in some other way been implicated as steroid users. And what does that mean about the era in baseball, the way we look at it now, the way it'll be looked at in the future, the implications for the Hall of Fame? I mean, what's going to happen when these guys become eligible for the Hall of Fame?
Well, what you're going to have, Keith and I were talking about it before, you're going to have some of the great seasons and some of the great players, statistic-wise, who are not going to be in the Hall of Fame.
You know how I feel about it, Gary. I've been pretty out front with it, and I just think that the Hall of Fame is not even a question anymore. They don't get in. I'm sorry. It's just got to be a little bit of accountability out there. They know what they're doing. And it's cheating, and everybody knows everybody knows it's cheating.
But what's the level of proof that you need? In other words, McGuire never failed a drug test, but everybody assumes that because he refused to talk about it that he did. Rollins takes a strike 2 and 1.
And now Manny's line of defense is that a doctor gave him a prescription. Well, my feeling is if that doctor gave you a prescription, Manny, and it's going to cost you around $8 million, and you take him to court and sue him.
Well, I mean, you got all these guys who had HGH shipped to them from, what was it, an anti-aging clinic where the doctor had never seen them. Those guys all had quote-unquote prescriptions. That's not defense. You have to know what you're putting in your body.
Yes, certainly.
And these players are now told over and over and over again that they shouldn't take anything that isn't first cleared with their trainers and their doctors in Major League Baseball.
But, Gary, if you throw 89 miles an hour, what would Keith do? I don't have the bracelet. What you have here, though, is if you throw 89 miles an hour, you're in AAA. If you throw 94 miles an hour, you make $12 million a year. That's going to be always the big.
Moyer runs 3-2 to Rollins into center, and Beltran has room to track it down to end the inning. So a hit and a walk, but Pelfrey gets through the second unscathed, pitching with the lead, and the Mets still up 4-1. and they are here tomorrow night. It'll be Jonathan Neese making his first start of the year for the Mets against Jeff Karstens. Then the Braves for 3 before the Mets go to the West Coast. And don't forget, coverage begins a half hour before every SNY game, and post-game coverage on SNY after every game.
Thank God you cleared that up, Gary.
Mike Pelfrey takes a strike from Jamie Moyer. And might I add that if you're in the car, be sure to listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN with our great friends Howie, Wayne, and Eddie.
Yes, and I love the Ed Coleman show, that pregame show. There's Howie.
What's Howie got a jacket on for?
He's got a tip on a snowstorm.
Here's the 1-1, and Pelfrey swings and misses. Pelfrey drove in a couple of runs in his last start against the Phillies on Friday night. And there's Wayne nodding agreement with Howie and wondering why we're putting them on the TV. Pelfrey grounds one out to Rollins, who takes his time, makes him run, gets him by just a hair for the first out. Well, Pelfrey hustling one away, and now Jose Reyes. Reyes struck out his first time up.
Just thinking about the game last night with Santana when I was going home and trying to put it in perspective, because I got to watch, of course, one of the great pitchers.
Reyes hits it deep to left field. Back goes Ibanez, looking up, and it's out of here. Jose Reyes with his second home run of the season. The Mets have hit 3 home runs in the first 2 innings tonight, and it's 5-1 New York. Slump? What slump?
Well, let's see what he got here. Oh boy, you can't establish inside when you can't throw it by anybody, Ron.
Well, he can't get Hernandez, the home plate umpire, to call it inside, so he's got to go for contact.
And there's Jose right there.
Moyer's off his game tonight.
And the thing about Moyer is, as we see in the pitch differential, whenever he misses, he usually misses down. He's missing up today.
Curveball hit to right. Worth getting close to those stands, so he slides and makes the catch. Nicely done by Worth, who became acquainted with that short sidewall last night.
Nice play. Worth's a very fine player. You can't have superstars at every position. You've got to have those guys that your journeyman players that are so critical to your ball club, and Worth can play both sides of the field. Has one of the most accurate arms for a right fielder in the National League.
They call them the grinders, don't you, Keith?
You see what Moyer's done in his 2 starts against the Mets. They are just tattooing him tonight. Beltran takes ball 1. This is the first time the Mets have hit 3 home runs in a game at Citi Field, and they've done it in the first 2 innings. Beltran, a 2-run shot, and he takes a strike, 1-1.
Saw Moyer now 2 consecutive curves. Plan B. 45 pitches already in the second.
He needs an umpire with a major strike zone.
With a heart. He really does. You know, who recognizes that he's the oldest pitcher in the league, and that he's going to pitch around the corners and open up that strike zone a little.
It's like having a judge with empathy.
There you go.
Only a Met fan would say Angel Hernandez has no heart. 3-1 to Beltran. I've seen a lot of Angel over the years. Beltran hits it hard. A nice play behind the bag by Phillies, and a perfect throw to get him. Side retired. Phillies with a nice defensive play. Right behind one by Worth, but Jose Reyes was undefensible. His second home run of the season, the Mets' 3rd of the night. Shane Victorino pops up to shallow left. Tatis coming on. And there's the first out in the top of the third. So Victorino flies out for the second time. First time Pelfrey's retired the leadoff hitter tonight. It's got to be a comfort for any pitcher to spend some time pitching out of the windup. Especially when you got the two big boppers, Utley and Howard, coming up. Mets now working with a 4-run lead.
Well, I was saying really quickly last inning before I was really interrupted by the home run by Jose Reyes. I was thinking about Santana pitching last night, and I was thinking, boy, these young pitchers for the Mets are so lucky. They have a blueprint every night on how you attack hitters.
Now let me ask you a question. We saw right before the game tonight when Kevin did the interview with Santana, Johan show off the grip on his changeup. Wouldn't you think that every pitcher on this staff would be trying out that grip?
I think that his grip is not unique, but I will say that, yeah, they should. Or I would ask, someone, I would ask Santana, how he holds it and this or that. And that's what pitchers do all the time. The problem is that I played with Dwight Gooden. He had one of the best curveballs in baseball, but you couldn't copy how he threw it. He was the only guy I've ever known that threw it 4 seams.
Utley gets jammed and fouls one.
Everyone who throws a curveball throws it. Well, most people will throw a curveball, throw it with the seams, kind of cup your thumb and roll it over. He threw it just like his fastball, 4 seams, and had such long fingers that he was able to turn it over. So it had one more extra revolution before it caught the seams and started to spin.
That's just because of the configuration of his hand.
Configuration of his hand, and he also had Shaquille O'Neal's hands. I was saying before, usually everyone is 2 seams. You take underneath, wrap your thumb, and you kind of flick it, move it over, and push with your thumb. He was able to do it, but with 4 seams, like a 4-seam fastball. So when he turned it over, it would spin, and then catch and start to tumble. And that's what made it so late and heartbreaking.
With Santana's changeup, is that something that everybody can try, though? Is that a little different than what you're talking about?
Everybody can try it. The difference is that he has the best motion I've ever seen that is the same fastball to changeup. See the grip right there? Everyone knows that's the grip to have. That circle grip change. The difference is that he honestly looks that he's going to jump at you when he throws his fastball. And you see the knuckles right on the seam there. And just beautiful to see how he grips that. But the difference is that when you watch him throw, you can't tell if he's throwing a fastball or changeup. He has the same exact motion. You talk about people repeating their motion over and over. He does it as well as anyone.
Good battle going here between Pelfrey and Utley. And now it works to 3-2.
But he said something very interesting in that interview with Kevin. He said he learned from last year, and I wonder if all of his teammates have. He learned from last year that all the games are important. April, May, anytime. And he's not taking anything for granted, not one of his 34, 35 starts. Those are great words to live by if you're a starting pitcher, if you're an everyday player. That's the great ones think like that.
And it's not just words, because we've seen him back it up with his actions so far this year. The only 2 games he didn't win, one, it was on a couple of unearned runs. The other one, he gave up 2 runs in the first, nothing else, left with a lead, and the bullpen let it get away. He's been a phenomenon so far this year in a way that I don't think he was for most of last year. Hit to left, and back goes Tatis. And so Pelfrey wins that battle, 9 pitches, and he gets Utley on the fly ball, 2 out. I mean, Santana was outstanding the last 2.5 months of the season last year, but I don't think that he became the phenomenon that we've seen so far this year until that last start against Florida.
I agree. 3 days rest. And he also did something he hadn't done all year. You heard his comments. He said, listen, I don't manage. The manager takes me out. Well, that was one where he went to the manager and said, I am pitching. We are going to win on Saturday. A very, Joe Namath moment. And went out there and did it. And I think since that time, he's felt more, regal in being a Met, and that he has such great influence on his team, his teammates, the outcome of games, and ultimately the organization.
Can one game do that for a guy?
Absolutely. I know that the game I pitched in '85 that we sometimes refer to, it's the Strawberry hit the home run against the clock. That one changed how I felt.
Reyes kicks it right into his hand and throws out Howard to end the inning. It's not exactly the way it was drawn up. Worked out perfectly, though. Reyes on the carom.
1-2-3 inning. Carlos Delgado leads off the home third inning, and he takes a strike from Jamie Moyer. Carlos ripped a double down the right field line his first time up. Mets have been tattooing Jamie Moyer tonight. 3 home runs. Delgado's double, couple of walks. Moyer got helped out by a couple of fine defensive plays behind him in the last inning. Otherwise, things could have gotten a whole lot worse. Worth with a sliding catch in right, and Phillies with a nice play behind the bag to throw out Beltran. Inside, and Delgado gets hit by another pitch. Well, he got hit last night. Here's your high-speed pitch presented by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. Your world delivered. 83. That's not high speed.
That's what I averaged driving back from Florida. 83 miles an hour.
So the Mets have the leadoff man on in the home third. And now David Wright. I think 83 is underestimating your speed driving back
well,
from
I had
Florida,
to,
quite honestly.
Someone could be listening.
I think there's a statute of limitations on that.
But then again, you plan to make that same drive next year. So.
Well, I know I don't drive as fast as you and Howie. I was in the car with Howie in Philadelphia. I've never seen driving like that.
Now, wait a second. We grew up in New York, and
yeah.
Obviously we drive like New Yorkers, but you grew up in Massachusetts, for goodness sake. Right, able to sneak one up the middle, and David is 2 for 2. That one had eyes.
Well, you need some of these hits when you want to get on a good streak. Just underneath the glove of Utley. And you can see Utley, why is he diving? There's no way he's going to get right. Well, he thought that if he can just stop it, he might be able to lateral it to Rollins to get Delgado.
Charlie Manuel's got to be thinking, how far can I go with Jamie Moyer? Third inning, 5-1, couple of men on, nobody out. Sheffield at the plate. And it looks like the Phillies are going to get the bullpen cranking now.
Well, they've got a left-hander, J.A. Happ, out there. That's a former starting pitcher. In fact, if Chan Ho Park hadn't thrown well yesterday, they were thinking that maybe Happ would move into as a starter. So he's had some outings where he's gone more than 2 innings.
Sheffield, who walked his first time up, takes a strike. By the way, Keith left the booth a while ago.
He's in tatters right now, somewhere.
I think his fans have found him.
Yes.
Sheffield pops one up behind the plate, and Ruiz hoping for room, but he runs out of it. There's just not that much room behind home plate.
We talked about the fences, although not tonight, that sometimes taketh away, but giveth there, the Sheffield. 45 feet, right, Gary?
It's the shortest in the major leagues from home plate to the backstop. You got a little room once you get away from right behind home plate between the dugouts, but then that room disappears once you get past the dugout. Sheffield with 4 career home runs against Moyer and a .483 batting average in 29 at bats. But Moyer's ahead of him here, 0-2. Gets ahead of this one, fouls it. How often as a 40-year-old major leaguer do you get to face a guy 6 years older? Delgado at second, right at first, and nobody out. Mets have been compacting the dimensions of Citi Field tonight. And Sheffield takes just inside 1-2. Sheffield's only home run this year came here at Citi Field, right down the left field line, the 500th of his career. Tatis waits to follow. Utley wandering around right at the bag at second. So Delgado can't get much of a lead. That might prevent him from scoring on a base hit. One-two, and he fights that one off, keep the bat alive. I understand that Keith has somehow made his way through the throng out to the very populated area out in center field, you know, where the Shake Shack meets the Taqueria.
He doesn't do well with crowds, you know.
He's a very popular guy.
He is.
And Tom asked for again. Somebody had that sign before. What would Keith do?
Yeah.
He's out there somewhere. We're going to find him soon.
He'd be the guy in the tie, by the way.
Do we have a camera following him? I hope. I mean, I'd love to see Keith consuming a taco. Here's the 1-2 to Sheffield. Pop foul off to the left.
Dylan Keith, he's at exit 32 on the LIE right now.
You mean we let him go and
Yeah,
took it seriously?
Exactly.
One-two to Sheffield. Hit hard over the bag and just foul. Sheffield almost had himself an extra base hit. Although Phillies play so close to the line, it would have been awfully hard to sneak it through.
Well, this is how you'll usually see a fielder play late in a game when you won't want any doubles. But with Moyer thrown so softly inside, Phillies has got to play on that line. Almost impossible to get a base hit to the right of Pedro.
He's even closer to the line now after that one. That's where he made the play on Beltran in the last inning. Long turn at bat for Sheffield. This will be the 8th pitch. And he pulls another one. You know, good for Razor Shines. He has to stay where he is because you got the runner at second base. Normally, Razor gives a little ground with Sheffield up. But he's hanging in.
He's almost on that dirt, though, I'll tell you.
Again, the 1-2, and he pops it up. Utley retreats. Infield fly rule called, and that's the first out. Well, somewhere out on the center field concourse, Keith is there. Keith, how's the crowd?
Gary, this is your man in the street here, reporting live from Citi Field. It was supposed to be a secret, Gary. You blew it. You can see I'm surrounded here. I'm right by the taqueria. Floyd is here. He's going to bring me a chicken taco. I haven't been back here during a game, obviously, and Kevin called in sick, so I got stuck with this job. It is a lot going on here, and you know what? One thing I noticed that we can't hear the sounds as much, the cheering, because we're kind of up high. When I was walking around the ballpark, coming around here, the fans are into this ball game and very much cheering, and it's loud. We kind of get it muffled up in the booth, but the fans are into it. They're having a great time, as you can see. I'm going to run for office next year, trust me.
Did you have to stand in line to get your taco, or did Floyd let you to the front of the line?
This is Floyd right here, runs the taqueria, and I'm telling you, these are the best tacos I ever had. I know it's not the 5th time I've said this, but these chicken tacos and the pork tacos and the steak tacos are awesome. Nice go.
Very well, very well.
Hey, good. Good to see you.
Nice game, too.
Okay. Hey, do we have a ball game going on? What's going on?
Tatis hits one off the cushion, and that'll load up the bases. That ball doesn't hit the bag. It goes down the line, and a run probably scores. But because it hit the bag, the Phillies were able to recover it, and Delgado had to stop at third.
Well, a shot down this line. Yeah, I think that would have been past Phillies. Easy call, of course. Fair ball. And what are the odds of that? Nice hitting by Fernando Tatis. So Mets get the bases loaded.
And a chance for Ramon Castro with the bases full. Castro bounced out to short his first time up. And there's a strike from Moyer. It's already with a 5-1 lead and a chance for a lot more here with Castro up. He homered against Moyer on Saturday. Pulls that one foul. And it's 0-2. The Mets have not fared well with the bases full this year. They didn't last year either.
Just the opposite of the Phillies year this year.
In 2006, Mets had what, 11 grand slams that year? J.A. Happ ready to go if Charlie Manuel pulls the plug on Moyer. But Moyer ahead on Castro, 0-2. And the goal here for Moyer is get Castro to hit anything on the ground. Belfry's been the guy the Mets score for this year.
It's funny how that is, right? Very streaky that way.
Into center field. That'll get a run in at least. Back goes Victorino on the track, and it's over his head. Delgado scores. Wright is right behind him. Tatis is going to run and then stop. He'll stop at third. It's a 2-run double for Ramon Castro. And the Mets stretch the lead to 7-1.
Well, Victorino plays shallow anyways. Cannot get back there on this Castro line drive. Hits off the bottom of the wall. Nice play anyway, but of course Delgado's going to score right halfway. Perfect. Good running, good read by Tatis. You can see halfway he got down there before Razor Shine sent him back to third base.
Well, Castro's double knocks Jamie Moyer out of the game. Time for a Lincoln Mercury pitching change. J.A. Happ will come on. Mets have bombarded Moyer. It's
time?
Yes, I guess I am. And that young lady right there, she's very smart. I almost feel like Monty Hall here. You know, door number 1, door number 2, or number 3. People are going crazy here. The big question that they're asking me, they want to see my scorecard. Can you believe that? I told them they're missing a great game. But everybody is having a great time back here, as you can see. And it's just... you know, I have not been back here during a game, obviously. I'm usually up in the booth with you guys, and everybody's just having a great time.
J.A. Happ pitching and Mike Pelfrey with the infield in.
Keith, are there TV monitors back there? Can you see the game?
I have a TV monitor. A flat screen TV is sitting right to my left above where the people are waiting to get their tacos. So I can see what's going on. But no one seems to be looking right now. They're all, for some reason, looking at me, and I'm out of uniform.
Well, do you have a next destination picked out, or are you just going to wander?
Well, we'll keep that a secret. I'm going to go next half inning or the next inning. I'll be up somewhere in this ballpark. That'll be fun.
Great. We'll get you back on Air Force One and scramble.
See you guys.
2-1 to Pelfrey, and he grounds one to short. The runners will have to hold. Rollins taking his time again, making Pelfrey run, and that's the second out. So it's a decent Castro hold. He could run for Pope.
Yes, he could.
He's creating a scene, is what he's doing.
Well, he said he's going to run for office, but we definitely don't share the same politics. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to vote for him, my good buddy.
No, it'll be fun to watch, though.
You're right.
Here's Reyes, who homered his last time up. One of 3 home runs for the Mets tonight. The Mets now with a 7-1 lead, knocking Jamie Moyer out of the box in the 3rd. Moyer went 2 1/3, allowed 7 hits, 7 runs so far, 2 walks, a strikeout, a hit batsman, and 3 home runs. And Happ trying to clean up his mess, throws ball 1. Keith is on the move. I'll tell you, it's like the Secret Service.
I wonder if he's already got his code name.
Otis.
That's right.
Reyes pops one foul, and it's 1-1.
You know, you like to see the Mets, though, adding on here, because it always seems against Philadelphia, you know, you don't know how many runs you're going to need. Pelfrey's thrown a fine game so far, but you know they can put up numbers in a hurry.
You know Santana's got to be thinking, where was this?
Yeah, right.
Where has this been? Not on my night. Now it's 2-1, and you know the next time Santana takes the mound Monday against the Braves, Derek Lowe for the Braves that night. So
I will tell you, though, when you're pitching in those close games and your team's not getting a lot of runs, as we see Keith pressing the flesh, the tempo of the game is good for you to keep throwing strikes and hitting your spots.
2-2 now to Reyes.
You know, my neighborhood downtown, there's all posters on every single block. I'm Keith Hernandez with a picture of Keith from the 80s.
Is that right?
Everywhere.
Any idea who put them up?
I don't know that.
In there for a call, strike 3, and that ends the inning as Reyes strikes out for the 2nd time tonight. But the Mets add 2 more, and after 3, lead it 7-1. Now we're going to send it to Matt Cerrone for MetsBlog.com. Take the train to Citi Field as the 3-game series with the Pirates begins tomorrow night at 7:10. Mass transit is the faster, easier, and greener way to Citi Field. Get to the Mets' new home of amazing and visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Jason Worth had a base hit his first time up. Single into left field. One of 4 hits off Mike Pelfrey, who allowed a run in the first inning and nothing since. Phillies had a brief 1-0 lead before the Mets bombarded Jamie Moyer for 4 in the first, 1 in the second, and 2 in the third. Raul Ibanez and Pedro Feliz to follow for the Phillies in the fourth. A very rough year for the Phillies already off the field with the death of Harry Kalas, and word comes of the passing of another member of the Phillies family, Danny Ozark, who managed the Phillies in the 1970s, passed away today at the age of 85. Punch to center field, and Worth is 2 for 2. So a leadoff single for Jason Worth in the fourth inning. Danny Ozark managed the Phillies team in 1976 that won 101 games. Back in the days of Schmidt, Lozinski.
Boa at shortstop. Dave Cash at second base. Bob Boone doing the catching. Of course, what's Ralph Keiner's famous line about the center fielder? Was he playing center field then?
Gary Maddox?
Yes.
5/6 of the world is covered by water. The other 6th is covered by Gary Maddox. Worth runs. Castro with the throw, and Worth has a stolen base. Boy, he's running down by 6 runs. But Worth makes it, and he has his 3rd of the year.
Well, Pelfrey's concentrating on the hitter as he should. Easy stolen base for Worth. That's one of those you better be safe, right? Whoa.
First stolen base against Pelfrey this season. So a runner in scoring position with nobody out, and Ibanez takes low 2-0. But that's part of how you come back in games, isn't it?
Yes.
It's the 4th inning, you're down by 6. You can scratch a run out here. All of a sudden, you're in a little better position, and you try and come back that way.
Well, I think that's how your manager will tell you in between innings. When you get in there, he'll start clapping his hands, talking to all the offensive players, saying, guys, let's just scratch out a run here, scratch out a couple next inning, just get back, get close, where one of our big hitters can a couple bloops and a blast.
And this is a Phillies team that certainly has enjoyed the experience of coming back from large deficits this year. Now Pelfrey behind 3-0 in Ibanez.
And historically, because of the ballpark they play in, they play in a lot of games like this.
There's a strike, 3-1. Well, Keith is not the only person to field. Kevin Burkhardt is out there too. Kevin?
I'm enjoying just sitting here and watching the game, to be honest, guys. I was talking to Raul Ibanez. Gary, you've talked about it a lot. All of you guys have about how well respected he is. And I said, that is true, but you come into a team that won a World Series, it's a bullet here for a base hit. Ibanez delivering should be the Phillies' first run as Worth comes in to score. Check that, the second run, excuse me. Make it 7-2 Mets. And I was talking to him about just, coming to a World Series championship team. And he said, well, I was just trying to kind of find my way, basically. I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. Jamie Moyer helped, old friends from Seattle. He said, but there were a couple of things. This clubhouse was loose, yet very focused. And the one thing that really kind of helped me get settled in, their work ethic was terrific. And for me, that's all I needed to see. I fit right in. And I think later in the conversation, something telling about his competitive drive and how happy he is to be in an environment like this, coming from a 100-loss team in Seattle. He was talking about Santana last night and how much fun it was to be a part of that game. He said Santana was on top of his game. I love being a part of that. I felt like we walked out of here high because, just tip your cap to him. And then he said, guys, the intensity, every pitch mattered. It was great. I mean, just you could hear his joy, even though they lost, just in being able to be involved now in this race, which he wasn't able to do.
Well, he certainly wasn't playing in a lot of important games in Seattle last year. But what's amazing about Ibanez last season is that amidst all that trouble and people getting fired, as Reyes gets the out at second, and Castillo just a little bit late. And Feliz beats it out. So that's one away.
Well, that ball came up on Reyes, and you could see Castillo standing behind that bag, not able to get enough on a throw, but he's out at first anyway. It's not even close.
Jerry Manuel out arguing the call with Bill Welke, and Jerry getting a little hot. Well, clearly that was a bad call.
Well, as a pitcher, you like to see that when you know that you've had the double play. Your manager comes up and sticks up for you. Yeah, he's definitely out. Ball's in the glove. His foot's still in the air.
So Welke missed the call. 1 out and 1 on. And a call strike to Ruiz. I was going to say about Ibanez, they lost 100 games. There was so much ill feeling. People were upset. Pitchers were upset with hitters. Hitters were upset with pitchers. He played 162 games last year. I mean, it would have been easy for anybody to beg out, at least occasionally, but he played in every game for the worst team in baseball.
And that really is a telling sign of what kind of class act he is. He's played in 162 in 2 of the last 3 years, so very durable player.
One and one to Ruiz, and he pounds one foul. Belfry trying to refocus after giving up a couple of hits here in the 4th. J.A. Happ, who came on in long relief, getting set for a turn at bat. Two and two now to Ruiz. Double play situation, slow runner at the plate. Ruiz bounced into a double play his first time up, and you've got a guy on the mound in Pelfrey who last year set a Mets club record for generating the most ground ball double plays in a season. 29 of them. And a chance for another one. Comes up to Castillo. Reyes with a pretty turn for the 4-6-3 double play. Second of the night, turned behind Pelfrey. The ground ball master, middle of the 4th, 7-2. For tonight before Ryan Howard, who was the last player to lead the major leagues in homers and RBIs and win a World Series in the same season. That's a great question. The questions have been so much better this year. Did we change our questioner?
I don't know if we changed it, but you're right. Not Pujols, 06.
Did he lead the majors in homers and RBIs?
Probably not.
Here's Luis Castillo, and I think A-Rod must have led the majors in RBIs that year. Castillo has walked, stolen a base, scored a run, robbed of a hit on a sliding catch by Worth his last time up. J.A. Happ misses low, 1-1. It'll be Castillo, then Beltran and Delgado, third time around the batting order for the Mets in the fourth inning, as they put a hurting tonight on Jamie Moyer, who lasted just 2 1/3. Castillo dribbles one past Happ. Tough play for Rollins. Bare hands and fires and got him. Gold Glove shortstop Jimmy Rollins making a super play to get Castillo for the first out.
Well, you thought that Castillo was going to be safe if it got past Happ, but nice play by Jimmy Rollins. Barehanded, falls to the ground in making that throw, and good stretch by Ryan Howard. Smelling that hit was Castillo, just a little short.
So Rollins dusting himself off, a little rosin. Here's Beltran, who hit a 2-run homer his first time up tonight, his 5th of the year. Now has 20 runs batted in. Then Phillies made a nice play behind the bag at third to get him in the second. They cut it 0-1. The Mets saw J. Happ last week in Philadelphia, and he looked good. 2 solid innings in relief, and he's looked good so far tonight. Happ made his first big league start against the Mets a couple of years ago. That didn't go quite so well.
Well, they were trying a lot of different pitchers there. It was J.A. Happ, it was J.D. Durbin, I think they tried. And the one that stuck was Kyle Kendrick, who did not stick with the team out of spring training this year.
Had a rough year last year, Kendrick did, after winning, I think, 10 games in half a season 2 years ago.
It was one of those where everything was going right, though. He wasn't pitching great, but they were scoring a lot of runs, so it was hard to disguise the struggles he was having.
Well, you have to figure that at some point relatively soon, if the Phillies starting pitching doesn't perk up, a guy like Kendrick may get another shot, because they've got to do something. Taken low, 3-2 to Beltran.
But if you're the Phillies, you have to take out of last night's game. I mean, even though you lost the game to Santana, such a positive for Chan Ho Park. I mean, that was quite an outing. Can he do it again? 2 times in a row.
That's the question.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it with his job on the line last night, and he did it in spring training when his job was on the line. Beltran to center field. In comes Victorino for the second out. I guess you have to just tell him his job's on the line with every start. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Budweiser, the great American lager.
That's what we do up here.
You think your job's on the line?
every night.
Just remember, you can say anything on television.
You can.
Once.
Okay, once. That's right. That's right. You're right.
There's Chan Ho, who did a fine job last night, gave up just 1 hit in 6 innings. Delgado pokes 1 foul. Carlos tonight has doubled down the right field line and been hit by a pitch, and he's scored 2 runs. One and 1 to Delgado. Last time we saw Keith, he was acquiring tacos. So I guess that means he's going to be away for a little while.
You should have him pretty soon, right?
Well, it depends how many tacos Floyd gave him. 1 and 2 to Delgado. Got to find something to watch the tacos down with.
I think he's going to be in a little more genteel setting this time, if I know my friend.
You think he's escaped from the hoi polloi?
I have.
Haps retired the first 4 to face him. This is inside to Delgado, 2-2. Well, the game plan on Delgado is such that he's going to get hit by a lot of pitches this year. David Wright on deck. 2 in the last 2 nights have plunked Carlos. Reaches for that one and dumps it in the left field for a base hit. And Delgado is 2 for 2. Nicely done by Carlos. Mets first hit off Happ in relief. Now David Wright is already 2 for 2. David hit one over the center field fence for his 3rd home run of the year. Back in the first.
Well, early on in the first homestand, David hit a couple balls to center field that did not get out, but that one covered off Jamie Moyer.
He's that baseball still sitting out there?
No, they had one of the security ladies who went out there and got it and threw it up in the stands.
Oh, that's good. I just wonder what happens the first time someone hits one in the receptacle holding the apple.
There you go.
Will it knock the apple out of commission? Will there be a baseball in the gears? Up the middle, and Wright is 3 for 3. So David Wright, his bat has been showing signs of coming around. Has himself a big night working. 3 hits in the first 4 innings. Well, there's the security guard.
There we go.
Very nice.
Lucky fan. By the time he gets home, he'll say he reached over the edge of the grandstand and caught that barehanded.
Well, he did.
A little late.
So now Sheffield with 2 out and 2 on. Sheffield has walked and popped up 0 for 1. Mets now have 9 hits in the game, including 3 home runs. Second time in a week the Mets have hit 3 home runs in a game. They did that in Atlanta in the first game of that series, but the first time they've done it at Citi Field. And that's going to be encouraging, I would think, to the position players, just to know that, you know, it may not be a great home run hitter's park, but it's not impossible.
It's a little warmer night tonight, right? It's going to make it. If you hit one, it'll be out in this ballpark. In the summertime, it'll travel a little better, especially when it gets humid. Fernando Tatis on deck.
Oh, and 2 to Sheffield. Popped it up. And Utley right there waiting for it. Side retired. That's got a couple of hits, but do not score. We're going to find wherever Keith is when we come up. There he is. Feet up. Enjoying a little glass of wine. That's our boy. Mark Sanchez and Sean Green's first rookie camp, plus the crew discusses whether Plaxico Burress would be a good fit for the Jets. And he had the exclusive interview with offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer on Jets Nation Saturday at 11:30, only on SNY. Jay Happ gets a turn at bat, and Pelfrey gets ahead of him 0-2. Plax to the Jets. What do you think? No?
No.
Even if they have a metal detector?
No.
Okay. You think Cotchery can be a #1?
I like Cotchery.
1-2 to Happ. Grounded down to Delgado. Pelfrey gets over to cover, and there's 1 out in the top of the 5th. Well, we spied Keith out there on the ledge there in front of the Acela Club Looks like a beautiful place to watch a game from.
Gare, plane went overhead there. It is a pretty place to watch the game and actually, you have a beer or a glass of wine or some really wonderful food. One thing I do notice is that this outfield is spacious, and there's a big gaps here, and it's an interesting angle. Looking here, I love all the left-handed bats that are in both lineups, because my father, I remember I always said, used to, when he'd take us to Candlestick Park when we were kids, would sit us over the third base dugout to watch into the body of the left-hand hitters. Well, I've got this angle here right now, and it's kind of fun to watch the hitters swing. It's interesting to see, Tatis is back. That's a whole different view for me here. And I've got to kind of negotiate the foul pole. It's a beautiful full moon almost above the lights up there over the first base dugout.
You want to call that play, Keith?
Forward 3 in your scorecard.
Thank you.
Gary, in TV, less is more. Just kidding. But anyway, I've been up here for around an inning now, and I've had a chance to kind of soak it in. And, it's very exciting. I have not been in really, to think about it, I haven't been in a ballpark as a spectator in so long. This reminds me in that one playoff series when Baltimore swept the Oakland A's before the Oakland A's went on their run, back in the Reggie Jackson days, when my brother and I sat in the upper tank in the right field. Very much a similar seat like this, and that's the kind of memories that came back to me. But that's what baseball does to you. You always have those memories going back as a kid with all your stars and different ballparks that you were fortunate enough to watch games in. But this is really, really lovely. I think it's the best thing that ever happened to Met fans.
Keith, have you talked to some of the people up there? Are they really enjoying that seat in the Acela Club?
I've got security here, and they've been kind of, saying hi, but I feel like the President Obama. I got a Secret Service all around me here. They can't get near me, but the fans here are great. They have a great affection for us guys from that '80 team. They're all very nice, and it's just a beautiful atmosphere. I mean, you sit down at a table like this with this beautiful seat, and you can have dinner. What can I say? It's something I never thought I'd see.
As you know, Keith, from where we sit in the booth, we can't quite see the foul lines down in the corner.
Well, I'll tell you what, if that happens, Gary, I'll take the call. I'll take the play-by-play.
Go ahead, Keith.
All right. There's a ground ball to Castillo. That'll end it, Gary. I'll take it out. Let me handle this. 7-2 Metsies.
Led the Tides in innings pitched. And Tidewater's slick fielding Jose Oquendo, only 19 years old, looks very good indeed as a shortstop of the future. In fact, the entire Tidewater team played so well this year, it won the Governor's Cup, the championship of the AAA International League.
Metropolitan Park in Norfolk, Virginia.
That is funny. You see those kind of bowl hats Very strange.
What was with that windup? You didn't wind up that way in the big leagues.
I was really raw. I mean, when people think about, they always think that, you know, when you come up that you're kind of polished. I really only started pitching when I was in college, so I was very raw when I went to AAA. And boy, I'll tell you, Al Jackson had a lot of work. Look at that big, crazy windup. No wonder I led the league in walks.
Walked 102 that year in '83. 102 walks and 159 innings in Tidewater. 95 walks and 152 innings.
How can you be successful walking that many people?
You did well, though.
Well,
went 10-9 that last year in the minor. 0-2 to Tatis. Must have had some nasty stuff.
I needed it. The bases loaded every time I looked up.
I love those old flashbacks that Dan Barr has put together in the truck. Those are outstanding.
How could you catch a ground ball on those fields? You see that?
Up the middle for Utley on the backhand. And he throws out Tatis for the first out. Now Ramon Castro, who knocked Jamie Moyer out of the game with a long double to center to drive in a pair in the third. Keith, you still out there at the
I'm still here. Another point, Gare, at this angle here is that you're elevated up and you're looking onto the field. You can check all the fundamentals of the game, a ball in the gap, where the fielders go. You kind of have your peripheral vision. You can pick all the players up and see where they're going. That last play right there by Utley, he made it look so easy on the backhand. From my view, I was able to see the ball off the bat and see Utley get the quick break. You know, things that you kind of miss when we're up there in the booth. That as a fan, the things that you can watch when you're at the ballpark. You can zone in on one player if you want, or two players, a pitch or a play or a whole inning, and see what happens. It's the beauty of being live at the ballpark.
And I think that's an outstanding point, because, you know, when we show the game on television, we're always showing the pitcher and batter as the pitch is thrown, but there's so much else going on right before and as the pitch is thrown.
Absolutely. And it's something I've forgotten, because I haven't been a fan, as far as a fan coming to the ballpark, and since my high school days. I've always been playing and up in the booth. So this has been quite a little nice experience for me. By the way, Ronnie had that great year, all those walks, because they scored a lot of runs for him.
Exactly. Exactly.
Castro down swinging for the second out. Second strikeout for half. And they're 2 away.
Another thing, too, Gare, is that the pitcher looks like he's throwing harder from this angle, as opposed when you're watching the center field camera and you see the pitch come in, it looks like, oh my God, the guy's not throwing hard at all. But from this angle, from the side, basically, you can tell that the hitter doesn't have much time to think up there. There's those planes. This would be a great spot for a little anti-aircraft fire right here, a little battery of anti-aircraft guns.
Yeah, you might want to,
Just kidding.
Yeah.
I used to always step out. You know that. I never liked to hit with those planes taking off.
Pelfrey hits it hard, but right at Utley. Well, we'll move Keith on to a new locale. We're not giving it away. Secret itinerary. Don't want the Secret Service to get mad. 7-2. Great seats and a great time. Visit Mets.com or get to the phone at 718-507-TIXX. Let's answer our Aflac trivia question before Ryan Howard, last player to lead the majors in homers and RBIs and get a World Series ring in the same year. Wow.
Wow.
Ramirez that year to hit the 61 home runs, as you probably know, drove in 142 runs to lead the majors. Finished second in the MVP balloting. 54 home runs that year.
Mickey
Mantle. And third was Jim Gentile. Was that the year he had 2 Grand Slams in one game?
Red Sox, right? Jim Gentile, Orioles. That's right.
Chase Utley leading off in the 6th inning and takes ball 1. Ramirez had 61 homers, 142 RBIs, hit 269. And Utley pops it a mile high. Reyes with plenty of time to settle under it. 1 out. Well, Pelfrey, after giving up a couple of hits and a run in the 4th inning, has settled very nicely back down. He's retired 6 in a row. Now we'll take on Ryan Howard with the bases empty. Howard drove in the first Phillies run with an opposite field double in the first. A nice low pitch count for Pelfrey. Trying to go to 4-0 on the season.
Well, Dan Worthen's got to be happy. They're starting to round into shape, aren't they, these pitchers? Other than all these struggles, of course. Maine has had 2 good ones. Pelfrey, this could be 3 in a row. Santana, of course, off the planet. Levon had a nice start his last start.
Really
two nice starts. Yeah, he had Florida too. So this is the way you do get on a roll. You start to get these good, well-pitched games, so then you're definitely in the game and can win it late if you have to.
And, you know, the Mets are up 7-2 here in the 6th inning, and they haven't had many games like this where maybe they can get K-Rod a day off and win a game without him. Frankie Rodriguez has pitched each of the last 3 nights and saved each of the games. And he says he can pitch every day, but at some point you'd like to rest him.
Howard cracks one to deep right center field. Forget that. That is long gone. Home run for Ryan Howard to the deepest part of the ballpark. His 6th of the year, and that cuts the Met lead to 7-3. Well, it's not Citizens Bank Park, but yeah, Howard's so strong he can hit him anywhere.
Yes, you're so right about that. Really, the only cheap ones he will ever get in Citizens Bank Park are the one to left field. The ones that he pulls and gets the bat out in front, of course, his sails well over the 415. And that's 425, 430 feet.
Jason Worth takes ball 1.
Well, Keith was talking about watching that left-handed stroke. Boy, that's beautiful. Slight uppercut. That's why he hits all those home runs.
Over the bag and past right and down the line, and Worth is 3 for 3. Heads for second as Tatis's throw arrives too late, and so all of a sudden here come the Phillies. 7-3, and Worth is on second with 1 out.
Well, unlike the Phillies, who played their third baseman on the line when Moyer was in there, David right where he's supposed to be, and that was a good hit by Jason Worth.
So back-to-back extra base hits by Howard and Worth. 8 hits now off Pelfrey.
You know what I was thinking when you were talking about Pelfrey? This would be a nice start for Dan Worthen and the Mets that try to get deep into the game. You know, you had Santana 7 innings last night. Nice to get those today, but Pelfrey in a little trouble here in the 6th.
This would be the crucial time for him to get a couple of quick outs and have a chance to do that. The Mets are going to get the bullpen stirring now. This is a game you don't want to let slip away after leading 7-1. So Bobby Parnell gets up. Been up there almost every day. Ibanez had an RBI single his last time up, and he takes ball 1. Howard now has 22 RBIs. Ibanez has 22 RBIs. Utley has 21 RBIs. There's 3 left-hand hitters. So dangerous. Pelfrey falls behind Ibanez 2-0. Fenway Park, the Red Sox have scored 9 runs in the 6th inning against Cleveland and still nobody out.
Tried the nightmare for Cleveland so far this year, right?
Wow. No home runs in that inning either. Strike 2-1.
They have the combo working. They're not getting a lot of great starting pitching, and their bullpen is in disarray.
They've made a couple of pitching changes in that inning already to no avail.
It's Wakefield, right, for the Red Sox?
He's been awfully good.
Yes, he has.
2-1 to Ibanez, and it's upstairs for ball 3. So Pelfrey has been able to avoid the walks tonight. He walked only one, and of all people, that was Moyer back in the second. But now in a dangerous spot against Ibanez behind 3-1. Fouled away, 3-2. Ibanez not happy with himself. Thought he had a pitch to hit. Jerry Manuel was talking before the game tonight about getting Parnell a day off, getting K-Rod a day off. Well, when you're playing games against the Phillies and you wind up in close games, if this one winds up close, you don't have a whole lot of choice. 3-2. Ibanez grounds one down to Delgado, and Pelfrey takes the nice toss for the second out as Worth moves to third. He was able to get Putz a day off last night, and that was important. Feliciano pitched the 8th inning and did so effectively.
Yeah, J.J. Putz said last night he was just a little achy. He's ready to go again tonight.
Now Phillies, who has singled to center and reached on a fielder's choice on what should have been a double play, but for a bad call. And there's K-Rod. He said after the game last night, "You want to throw me 4 days in a row, 5 days in a row? I don't care." But you can only do that so much, especially this early in the year.
Interesting to watch him pitch, though, because Jerry Manuel was talking about Rodriguez has so many weapons, but he has so much confidence in himself. I think he stirs that confidence amongst his teammates.
Well, we talked about it last year on the other side of the ledger. There's nothing that upends the psyche of a team more than not being confident that your 8th and 9th inning guys can hold a lead. Well, now you're at the opposite end of the spectrum with this team. If you have a lead after 7, you are supremely confident. Grounded out to Castillo, so a nice recovery by Pelfrey after giving up the home run to Ryan Howard. He works around the double by Worth and puts the inning to bed. So Pelfrey has gone 6 after Howard hits into the deepest part of the ballpark at Citi Field with a 4:15 mark for his 6th of the year. But the fourth time he has homered and struck out twice tonight, and J.A. Happ, who has done a nice job in long relief, throws ball 1. Reyes' home run was his second of the year. He hit it right-handed off Jamie Moyer back in the second, and he hits one in the air to left field. This one's playable. Ibanez standing under it. One away. Time to check in with the studio. Let's go to Chris Carlin for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Oh, that's lovely, Chris. Thank you. That's right up our alley there. Here's Castillo taking a strike, 0-1. By the way, in that game at Fenway Park, the Red Sox were down 2-1 going to the bottom of the 6th. They got 12 runs before an out was recorded in the 6th inning. 13-2. Mike Lowell finally grounded out for the first out of the inning, but it's still going. The Red Sox threatening the all-time record for runs in an inning. The modern record is 17, which, by the way, was set by the Red Sox.
Well, turnabout is fair play because it was the Indians who scored 14 against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium in that second inning.
1953, Red Sox against the Tigers, a 17-run 7th inning. We'll see where this one ends up. Hope to second, and Utley has the hop. So Happ continues to roll. He's retired 6 in a row, 2 out and nobody on. Let's check out our Toyota Tex ball. We went to the National League yesterday.
Okay.
Today it's the American League. Which first place team has the best chance of hanging on? The Blue Jays, who are 20-10. The Royals, who won their 6th in a row today, or the Texas Rangers, who have won 5 straight and are in first for the first time in 3 years. Text your response to 57508 or visit sny.tv to cast your ballot. I think that probably no one expected any of those 3 teams to be in first place at any particular time this year. Beltran homered back in the first, pops this one up, and Utley waiting for it to come down. J.A. Happ throws another 1-2-3 inning. He's worked 3 2/3 in relief and is not allowed to run, keeping the Phillies around. 7-3 New York. Great B horror movie.
There you go. Ed Wood film.
There you go. Carlos Ruiz leads off for the Phillies in the 7th inning against Mike Pelfrey, who's thrown 87 pitches over 6. He's allowed 3 runs and 8 hits. He's had the lead since he took them out for the 2nd. Well, Ruiz will have to do something different this time. He's been up twice, and both times he's grounded into double plays. Nobody on base this time for him. Pelfrey, as has been the case whenever he has been successful, has lived by the ground ball tonight.
And he's done it with, as Greg Dobbs is on deck, pitch hitter extraordinaire. He's done it without throwing a lot of breaking pitches as Pedro Feliciano gets up. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's got to be well over 90% fastballs by Mike Pelfrey tonight.
Now, do you think that was a game plan going in, or is that a consequence of getting a lead early?
The consequence of getting a lead, and it's been working. He stayed with it because he's been painting the corners back and forth as Clay Condrey gets up for the Phillies. What a nice view of Clay tonight.
3-2 to Ruiz. Pelfrey has walked only one tonight. That was Moyer back in the second. And he's got to feel much, much better about that. Coming into the night, 13 walks in 21 innings. About to throw his 93rd pitch of the night. And Ruiz fouls it back. Well, the Red Sox will not set a record. They had to settle for just the 12 runs in the 6th inning. And a 13-2 lead over the increasingly hapless Indians.
They just took Wakefield out and saw the number change from 49 to 17. 17 Manny Del Carmen.
Ruiz pops one up into left field. Tatis drifting. One away. Well, Keith has changed positions about as far as you can go from the Acela Club. He's changed levels. He's on the first base side, and he found a friend. Hi, guys.
I'm here with Senator Hernandez, guys. Senator, my taxes have been raised the last couple of years. Can you do anything about that?
Vote for me. 4 years.
Hey, what do you think? You know, it's funny because I've been doing a lot of walking around here in the new ballpark, so this is actually kind of nice just being down here and watching the game. But what do you think about this vantage point being able to be this low?
Well, I think it is correct. The only ballpark in my experience this close that's closer to home plate is Wrigley Field. The one thing is, from a hitter's point of view, that I don't like about the dugout is we're sitting, Kevin and I, right now, the furthest end of the dugout closest to home plate. Well, right this way is the first base line, and it's 3/4 of the way down the line. And as a hitter, I always liked the stadiums that the dugouts were closer to home plate, so I have an angle like this, and I can look at the pitcher's stuff and get an idea what he's throwing. Here, I'm at right angles almost to where he's throwing at home. I would not be able to get any clue of movement on his fastball, how sharp his breaking ball is. So that's out the window right there. But as far as where you're at right here, these are definitely not the euchre seats. These are just terrific seats.
Oh, it's great. You're right on top of the action. What about the railings too? I mean, you know, you didn't have to deal with railings a lot of times. I mean, how would that change how you watch the game with the railings and the netting in the way and things like that?
Well, I always liked the in between innings. You get tired of 162 games playing every day, and I liked the in between innings to sit on the bench and relax while I didn't hit that inning. Here with the railing, it's in the way. You got to kind of stand up on the top step. They do have a bench there. In all the years that I played, 17 years that I played, and never had a railing anywhere. I never even came remotely, a couple times close where I almost got hit.
Gary?
Cobb's lifting it to right. Can you guys not see that ball from there? That's the second out.
No, we just figured we'd let you talk. That's all.
Yeah, what are you going blind? It's a fly ball to right field. Can of corn.
I was just wondering whether you guys could see it from your vantage point, or if the dugout was blocking you.
Were you blocked?
Actually, you got to peek over the dugout here. The only thing we can't see here is the deep in the right corner here, which you can't either. So I guess it really doesn't benefit anybody. The ball goes in the right field corner. But other than that, you have a real good perspective. And Keith talked about you're really close here to home plate. Maybe dugout-wise, not the best for the players, but you're so close to home plate, and you could really, you really get a sense for how hard the pitchers are throwing. I mean. That's the real thing that I take from being down here.
Absolutely, and it's going to you kind of lose perspective, as I said earlier, but you can tell right now that the hitter hasn't got much time to think. What's great about this seat right here too is right behind the camera over there. There's the managers, Jerry, there's Sandy Alomar and Dan Worthen, all the generals, and it's kind of fun to watch them move around. Dan Worthen's very intent on watching his pitchers. Of course, he's probably having a nice night tonight because Pelfrey's just cruising along. But Jerry kind of paces back and forth. And the manager, Whitey Herzog, always told me, you got to think an inning or two, 5 hitters in advance, 5 or 6 hitters in advance. And so it's a very cerebral game for the manager. And I'm watching Jerry here, hands in his pocket with his jacket on, just pacing back and forth, always thinking.
You're not harassing those guys, are you?
Oh, no, hey, I wouldn't think of it.
3-1 to Rollins. Let me ask you this, Keith, with the proximity to the field of the fans, because you are awfully close. If you're on the field, and particularly if you're playing a corner position like you did, how easy it or hard is it to block out the distraction of the fans being so close?
Oh, it's even better. You feed off it, Gar. We're all ham actors, so we love to play in front of big crowds. The bigger the crowd, the merrier. I loved it.
Delgado handles, finds Pelfrey, and that'll do it for the Phillies in the top of the 7th. So Pelfrey finishes 7. Nicely done on his part. 7th inning stretch, 7-3 Mets. Can coexist perfectly. By Butt Family Mets inaugural season sweepstakes. Just visit the Butt Family 24-pack Mets display at participating retailers for your chance to win sweet tickets and other great Mets prizes. Mike Pelfrey, 7 solid innings, and he apparently is done after 105 pitches. A job well done for Pelfrey. Leaves with a 4-run lead, and Clay Condrey takes over the pitching for the Phils.
Well, Condrey's having an outstanding season so far. Look at that. This is 16th game so far early in the season. Good ERA.
Carlos Delgado working on a perfect night. Double, hit batsman, single. He scored 2 runs. Condrey pitched in both games against the Mets in Philadelphia last weekend. Faced 7 batters and retired them all.
Yeah, he's using his cutter very effectively, and also is using his changeup. You know, usually he would come in. He really was a 2-pitch pitcher, but he's using that changeup to get the left-handers out.
Right into the shift. And Rollins on the right side of the infield retires Delgado for the first time today.
Third baseman David Wright.
Well, here's your Home Depot doing more on defense as you look at the shift.
Very nice with Utley out in the outfield, and both Rollins in the perfect spot there make that play on Mr. Delgado.
So 1 out and nobody on, and now David Wright, who's also working on a perfect night. 2-run homer back in the first, single to center in the third, single to center in the fourth. Average up to .314 on the year.
Ron, always talking about how my dad sat me on the third base dugout. Well, I'm on the first base, so I can watch the right-hand hitters. So I got a great view of David Wright. The perfect view to watch David Wright hit, and I'll watch very closely.
I just hope he's not late on one. You're going to have to use your gold over there.
Well, hey, don't give the gold away for nothing.
If you catch a ball with that microphone, there's a prize in it for you. Oh! And David goes down.
Well, Keith, this is where you can really see how quickly and how little time you have, right, to react and get out of the way.
Yes, and that was a little chin music. I don't know. I don't think it was intentional. David is 3 for 3, correct?
Yes, he is.
And now he's on base with a walk. And what made that so hard is the ball was actually behind his head. And it sometimes, Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, if that ball's behind your head, sometimes you go in the wrong direction.
Well, Ronnie will tell you that if you're going to hit someone, you throw it around a foot behind them, because the initial reaction of a hitter is to back up, and you back right into it. And then as a hitter, you go, boy, am I stupid. What am I thinking?
So now Sheffield with 1 out and 1 on. Ken Takahashi gets up next to Pedro Feliciano, and I wonder whether this depends whether the Mets get a couple of additional runs here as to who gets the call. Ball 1 to Sheffield. Wright was looking runnerish, which makes me think he'd like to steal a base to compensate for getting thrown at. Yeah, there's Jonathan Neese, who's in town to make the start tomorrow night against the Pirates. Made 3 starts late last season. And he's up from Buffalo with Oliver Perez going on the disabled list.
You know, Gary, all the good players I ever played with, when they had a ball thrown around their head, their first inclination is if they are going to turn 2, one of those middle infielders is going to be in the outfield.
So you're saying Utley heads up?
Said he was runnerish, and of course the bench of Philadelphia saw that, noticed that, countered with some throws over from Clay Condrey.
David has 4 steals this year, but he's been caught 5 times. Sheffield, shallow left, and in comes Ibanez as that bat snapped. That's the 2nd out of the inning.
Boy, I tell you guys, I just love this view. I'm very fortunate to be here with the right-hand hitters up in this inning. And Sheffield's got such a beautiful swing right now. And all it is with him is a little bit of timing is off, but he's still got that beautiful swing. If you really look at a baseball swing from this side, my view right now of a right-hand hitter, it's almost like a ballet dance. It's just, there's a lot to it. And there are some hitters that are awkward hitters or stiff hitters, and there's some that are fluid, like they're in a dance, and Sheffield's one of those. It's a beautiful swing.
Now Fernando Tatis, who's 1 for 3. Banked one off the third base bag for a base hit in the 3rd.
Keith, are you close enough to hear any of the unmentionables that guys will say when they come back after making an out? We lost Keith.
I think the airplane.
Yes.
Oh, the airplane. That's right. Hey, Keith, are you close enough to hear any of the unmentionables that sometimes happen on a bench after someone makes an out?
I am not close enough, and I'm getting drowned out by the broadcast with this mic in my ear. Not my mic, my earpiece. But I'd have to turn around and kind of peek around the corner.
Okay.
So I've kind of lost. I have the great view of Jerry. That's for sure.
Down to 3rd for Phillies, who gets the force play to end the inning. So Condrey comes on to set the Mets down in the 7th. Now the Mets will go to the bullpen for the 8th. 6 more outs, leading 7-3.
You want me back up?
Feliciano. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt, who's standing by with tonight's Mets starting pitcher.
All right, guys, we are here with Mike Pelfrey. Mike, first inning, just give me the importance of kind of settling and getting out of that with only one run.
Anytime that you can, limit damage, it's always good. And so, I thought that, early this year, a lot of times I've had big innings, and I'm trying to, kind of back off, take a deep breath and gather my thoughts and get a plan together, start executing pitches and limit the damage on those things.
Seems like since you got rid of the tendonitis, the last 3 starts you've kind of slowly progressed, done things a little bit better each time. Is this your best one, you think, by far?
Definitely. I thought I did it. My command was better today. I'd still like to throw more strikes than I threw today, but I felt like I made pitches when I had to, and I keep feeling like I'm getting stronger and stronger. So, hopefully next time out, I'm even better.
Are you okay with the hits? I mean, you'll let up hit. Are you okay with the hits as long as that two-seamer's working? Because you did get a couple big double plays today. Is that something you could live with more than, say, you said the control?
That's fine. I got to execute pitches a little better, and I'm not going to necessarily strike out a lot of guys. So I need to pitch to contact, and I need to make pitches down the strike zone. And when I do that, I think I got a pretty good chance.
When you pitch after the guy that pitched last night, Johan, I know it's a different game, different day, but can you feed off that? Can you feed off what he did?
Yeah. I mean, I think he kind of sets the tempo for the whole series. And last night, they had to face the best pitcher in baseball, and so I know going into the day that I was going to have to keep the ball down and execute pitches. And he's a tough guy to follow, as good as he is.
What do you like for Willie Go? What do you like about pitching here at Citi Field now that you've got a little taste of it? Here we are in May.
It's a big park, except for when Ryan Howard's hitting that ball to right center. But it's a spacious ballpark, and it's a great field, and it's a lot bigger than Shea. It plays big.
Well, Mike, certainly good luck as hopefully the Mets can secure this game and the win for you. Okay.
Thank you. Sounds good.
All right, guys. Mike Pelfrey, let's go back up to you.
Well, I know that sometimes as the guy following the ace, it's got to feel like being a tough act to follow. But sometimes guys can get on a roll that way, too.
You really can. You can keep the train moving. As you see this pitch from Feliciano. Change up down in the strike zone.
The home plate umpire initially ruled that Castro had caught that ball, but apparently it did hit the ground.
But Hernandez was calling that it was a foul tip. It didn't look like a foul tip to me.
In any event, it kept the at-bat alive for Victorino, who's still in there now with a 1-2 count. Back to a slider, misses 2-2.
Well, I'd like to thank Mike Pelfrey. That is so nice after, sweating bullets and having to get this tough Philadelphia Phillies lineup out. And he's nice enough to spend some time with Kevin. It's great hearing these young pitchers as they talk about their day.
2-2. And Victorino takes wide, so after getting ahead 0-2, Victorino goes full with the big guys, Utley and Howard, waiting to follow. Victorino last night had himself a flare double down the right field line against Feliciano, who then responded by getting Utley on a comebacker and striking out Howard. That was in a 1-run game. Down to third, right backs off, tough hop, and there's no way he's handling that. And Victorino is aboard. It's an infield single for Shane Victorino.
Well, that's really the first time I've seen a real tough hop here at Citi Field. David got a glove on it, but that's the best he could do. See that? That ball was going to be in his chest, ended up over his shoulder.
The thing about it is, by backing up on the ball against Victorino, even if he snags that hop, there's no way he's throwing him out.
Yeah, you always have to try to be moving forward with Victorino. From the right side, he's, of course, not going to get down the line as quickly.
Guys, down here, that was a wicked hop. That ball was hit sharply, not a bullet, but it was hit hard, and boy, David opted. I was focused on David. He opted for the long hop, and boy, he got a bad hop.
So now Utley, and he takes a strike. Well, for Victorino, that infield hit extends his hitting streak now to 16 games. Phillies trying to build something in the 8th, down 7-3. It's the 9th hit for Philadelphia. Utley now 0 for 6 in this series.
And he bounces one slowly. Can he turn two? Castillo gets the out at first, and now they have Victorino in the rundown. And finally, the tag is placed on for the double play. Wait a second. Did we have an obstruction call?
Watch this. Victorino comes back and runs into Delgado. Reyes, I'm sorry. See, he runs back into Reyes.
So, obstruction call against Reyes, which allows Victorino to reach second base safely, and Jerry Manuel out to argue.
Gary, my angle right here, I had the perfect angle where I'm at. It looked to me as if Victorino went out of his way, stepped to his right to get Reyes in trouble. I thought it was a bad call.
I agree.
We're watching that on replay right now. You're absolutely right.
He initiated the contact, Victorino. And Mr. Welke and Mr. Manuel are not agreeing on anything tonight.
Reyes rightly perturbed at that, because that'll be an error charge to Reyes for the obstruction.
You know, and Jerry's making the right call, is that if you make contact, Victorino with Reyes, as you see Jerry going at it.
And he has been ejected. And now he's going to get his money's worth, and he might have just headbutted Bill Welke, and that's not going to help Jerry's cause. That's 3 plays tonight that Jerry has objected to. The first one was the double play the Mets appeared to turn where he didn't get the call. That was definitely a bad call. Then the one earlier in this inning on the foul tip, and now this.
Listen, if it's in normal play or the normal course of events, then of course there could be obstruction. But what happens with Victorino is once he turns around, he seeks out Reyes. And you cannot do that, because if you could do that, everyone would do that anytime they got in a rundown. He even gave Reyes a little forearm shiver there.
Yeah, that was clearly initiated by Victorino.
Yeah, that's not even close. That's a bad play and a bad call.
So Victorino winds up at second with 1 out, and now Ryan Howard takes one inside. So it's been that kind of an inning for Jerry Manuel, who finally gets ejected for the first time this season after finally having enough from Bill Welke, who disappointed him 3 separate times. Castillo, who was playing on the outfield grass, hurries in to get that one, and Howard retired for the second out. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, thanks, Chris. Now Jason Worth will bat with 2 out and a runner at third. Worth working on a big night. He's gone 3 for 3. In Detroit, Mark Burley was working on a no-hitter for 6 innings, but that was just broken up by Placido Polanco leading off the 7th. Burley making a bid for his 2nd career no-hitter. Worth has singled twice, doubled once. He has a stolen base. He scored a run.
Ronnie?
Yeah, Keith.
What I can tell up here with Feliciano, remember he's been working on that off-speed pitch to right-hand hitters.
Yes, that changeup, right?
It is really a great weapon for him, and I can see he's keeping the right-hand hitters off stride, just like that right there. It's the weapon that he needed to add to his arsenal to make him effective against right-handers.
Very good call, Keith, because now Feliciano is really a crossover pitcher. Not only can he get the good left-handed hitters out like he did Howard last night, but also can be effective against the right-handed hitter.
Fastball up, and it's 2-1.
I mean, he's throwing first pitch change, second pitch slider, third pitch fastball.
And he's getting some sink on the changeup, Ronnie. He's starting it out at the knees, and it's breaking out of the strike zone. Tough pitch to lay off.
You might see it right here.
And a good changeup to get Worth swinging at the second strike.
Again, from that side angle, Keith, is that really diving down at the end?
Yeah, it definitely is. And I've got the view from the side where it starts at a certain elevation, and when it reaches home, it's definitely sinking and dropping out.
2-2 to Worth. Fouled away.
Well, this is a big out here. You want to get Worth out, get out of this inning, get to bat. Worth gets on here. You're talking about Ibanez coming up. He's hit a home run off Feliciano this year.
By the way, guys, down here, the crowd is very much into this. It's loud down here.
The people behind you are standing, Keith.
You're absolutely right, Gary.
And it's not just for you.
Hey, are you saying that, Keith, we really don't hear any of that in this booth then, huh?
We're kind of muffled up there. This part is alive.
Three and two now to Worth.
Well, nice sequence of pitches here by Feliciano. That fastball in, you'd have to think that was in to be right on the corner. If he missed in to set up that changeup away. Looking to the sky for some divine intervention, or at least the right pitch to throw.
3-2 to Worth. In the air to left field, hit well. Back goes Tatis, looking up, and it's out of here. Jason Worth with a 2-run homer, and that cuts the Mets lead to 7-5. A 4-for-4 night for Worth after his dreadful night last night. His 5th home run of the year, and all of a sudden, a 7-1 Met lead has become 7-5.
Well, that's the great thing about baseball. Isn't a little hanging slider here that he got off on the front foot, but he's such a big guy, strong guy, able to hit it out of the ballpark. You know, last night struggled, had the 3 strikeouts against Santana, didn't come up with a play down the right field line, and the next day 4 for 4.
And never would have had the opportunity but for the phantom obstruction call, which was ruled by Bill Welke. The inning would have been over, but instead Worth gets the opportunity and cashes it in. Now Raul Ibanez takes the slider for a strike.
Pedro hoping that his park could keep it. Did not. We'll see the glove, and that one is down, but it's not in. It's down the middle. And Worth strong enough.
Well, we showed you the stat on Feliciano last night. He's now given up 24 home runs in his career. 11 of the 24 now have come against the Phillies. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, think about it. Victorino struck out. Angel Hernandez called it as a tipped ball. It wasn't. Then the obstruction play.
2-1 to Ibanez, hit to short, right at Reyes. And that'll get Feliciano through the inning, but the Phillies get closer. 2 unearned runs, the result of the obstruction call. Worth hits his 5th of the year, and it's 7-5 New York. The hapless previously KC Royals getting some support.
I would vote for the Royals too. You know, Zach Greinke, of course, you hear about, but they've gotten some good pitching from Ponson last night, Bannister today, and that bullpen for them with Soria closing is outstanding as K-Rod gets ready.
I thought perhaps we'd see maybe Mr. Putz closing tonight with K-Rod having worked the last 3 days, but it is Francisco Rodriguez getting ready. Now the Mets will try and get some insurance. The Phillies bullpen has been fantastic. J.A. Happ and Clay Condrey have combined for 4 2/3 scoreless innings. Ryan Church hitting 9th, and the order is on deck as Castro takes ball 1. The Mets wrapped up Jamie Moyer for 7 runs in 2 1/3, but they've done nothing against the 2 guys who follow. Good slider by Condrey, and it's 1-1.
Gary, can you hear me down here?
Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
You know, just thinking, you know, the bullpen for the Phillies is outstanding, but when they run against a team like the Mets with a good bullpen and a starting rotation, they can't fall behind. They're taken out of the game early. They're having trouble with their starting pitching. They're taken out of the game early. They battle back. I know they've come back a lot, but they have 10 or 11 wins coming from behind, but that just can't continue in the course of a long season. And they think it's going to need some starting pitching to basically keep them in the game. Because Charlie Manuel, excuse me, he can't continue to go to this bullpen in the third, second, fourth. That's why he's going long with these pitchers, because he can't kill his bullpen here. And it's already we're in early May.
Castro lines one to left. On comes Ibanez, but he'll have to play it on the hop. And the Mets get the leadoff man on in the bottom of the 8th. And we'll see now if they run for Castro here. Already with a 2-run lead, probably not, as Ryan Church comes up for the first time. Charlie Manuel on his way out to the mound with the left-hand hitter coming up, and then the switch hitters behind him. And so the lefty Jack Tashner is going to be called on. So a pitching change for the Phillies as the Mets look to tack on in the bottom of the 8th, leading 7-5. Beautiful overhead shot of Citi Field on what has turned into a very nice Thursday evening. Jack Tashner, the lefty, comes on for the Phils. Castro will leave for a pinch runner. Omir Santos will run for him and then stay in behind the plate.
Cherry's in the clubhouse. That Pony Express takes a little longer to get that decision out there.
So Church up for the first time tonight, really struggling right now. 2 for his last 26, and he's called upon to bunt, and bunts it foul. I'm not sure we've seen Ryan sacrifice before.
You know, lefty on lefty, I like this play. You know, play for one, maybe you'll get more.
Well, it's a two-run game, guys.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen Jerry play this kind of ball, and, you know, even though Jerry's been thrown out, I'm sure he's sending signals down from the clubhouse or back in the runway, and I agree with this bunt here.
Well, his position players have done a very poor job of bunting this year. The pitchers have done great, but not the everyday guys. Church has 6 sacrifices in his career. He had 1 last year. Tashner, the former Giant. And Church bunts it foul, 0-2. We've seen Murphy unable to get bunts down, Reyes on a couple of occasions. Well, this has been a theme not just this year but last year. That's scoring early and not scoring late.
And it's just a different, just the opposite for the Philadelphia Phillies, that scoring from the 7th inning on. It's their forte.
Let's see if the bunt's still on an 0-2. You would think not with Church. And he fouls that one off. K-Rod getting ready. Can he make it 4 saves in 4 nights? I guess you don't get to 62 unless you pitch a lot of days in a row. Tashner's 0-2, and Church chases the slider, and he's down. So unable to get the bunt down, Church strikes out, and his woes continue, 1 away.
Well, good breaking pitch here from Tashner. Down. He's ahead in the count, out of the strike zone. You know, Keith, I know you're behind Ryan there, but his swing looks long, huh, when he gets in those kind of streaks?
He's letting go with one hand. He's just basically running what he's doing. When the hitters all slump, it's the same thing. You start too quick, and you open up, and there's nothing left behind. And that's what's happening. You start swinging at bad pitches. And Ryan needs to let the ball come deeper in the strike zone. I know it's easier said than done. Those are things you have to work on in extra batting practice.
Now Reyes, who homered back in the 2nd inning, getting 5 right-handed at bats tonight. That's a rarity this year, as he's seen so little left-hand pitching. Santos at first with 1 out, each team with 10 hits in the game.
You see Castillo on deck, Keith. When you were on deck watching Tashner pitch here, what are the things you're thinking about? Are you trying to get some timing down as you're watching the pitcher?
I would try to get, like I said, close to home plate as possible. I know the on-deck circle where Louis is standing right now. I would try to cheat and make the other the manager can get me back in that box. But I'd try to cheat down as far as I could until someone told me to get back. But I'd be watching intently what Tashner is doing right now. How even though he's pitching to a right-hand hitter, try to get a feel how hard he's throwing. He's got a sinker, slider, if you haven't faced him before.
Reyes reaches for it and pokes it to right. And Worth is there for the 2nd out. So 2 away. And Santos back to first. Keith, did opposing managers really get you sent back into the on-deck circle?
Oh, really? Yeah, you're supposed to stay. You're supposed to stay in the on-deck circle. It's there for a reason. And I've been chased out before, and I've seen guys, Gary, in my experience, that were ridiculously behind a home plate to a point where one time a guy was leading off an inning. I forget who, with the Cardinals, and the pitcher, I forget what team, it's not important, took his first warm-up toss and pulled a Nuke Lelouch and threw it near him. In other words, and told him get back in the batter's box.
That happened in a college game a few years ago, if you remember. I'm trying to remember the pitcher's name, but Wichita State hit a guy for doing just that, trying to time his pitches on deck. Threw the ball at him in the on-deck circle. Here's Luis Castillo, and he takes a strike. Castillo 0 for 3 and a walk tonight.
Gary, the beautiful part back in our day was Jack Murphy Field in San Diego. Right behind home plate, they had a little window where the camera would be. And you can go right behind home plate, a little off to the right, and go on your toes and look through the glass and get a perfect view of what the pitcher was throwing.
In the dirt, and that'll send Santos down to 2nd. So on the wild pitch, Santos moves up into scoring position.
Breaking ball down in the dirt. Nice try there. Good form by Ruiz. Just could not keep that ball in front of him.
So an RBI chance for Castillo. There's a much more solid hitter from the right side. And that forces the outfield to play him more honest than they would as a left-hand batter at this spot with 2 out and a runner at second. Two and one to Castillo.
Well, you want Omir Santos to get a good lead at second base. Citizens Bank Park, Jason worked through him out at home. Did a couple extra steps. That's key, isn't it, Keith? When you're the runner at second and these 2 outs?
Well, right now, if you look at the middle infielders, no one's even close to him holding him on. So, yes, get a big lead, aggressive lead. And then it's up to the third base coach to let you know if there's a shortstop's creeping behind after the pitch. That's the third base coach's job. So you're totally reliant on your third base coach.
See Utley paying a little closer attention. But now it's 3-1 to Castillo. And Louis watches a strike, 3-2. Phillies will have the lower third of the order coming up in the 9th. Down slowly. Rollins on the backhand. The quick toss gets Castillo to end the inning. So Tashner comes on after the leadoff single to get the next 3 hitters. And K-Rod will try and make it 4 saves in 4 nights. 7-5 New York. Tries, and Frankie Rodriguez tries to keep it going tonight.
Trying his 4th in 4 days. Great numbers. Just loved how Jerry Manuel talked about him today, that he's just one of those closers that he keeps evolving. He's one of those guys that can throw a fastball. If he doesn't have the fastball, he can throw that slider for a strike. He's got 3 above average, way above average pitches.
Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, I talked to Frankie today and asked him about this workload, and he says, you know what? I love it. There was no doubt in his mind he was going to pitch tonight. He wanted to pitch tonight. He said, I'd rather go 5 days in a row than have 2 or 3 days off in a row. So there was never a question if he was called upon, if he was ready to go.
Well, this is already his 14th appearance in the first 27 games. Bottom of the order, Phillies, Ruiz, and the pitcher's spot due up, and Matt Stairs is the left-handed bat on the bench.
Phillies lifts the first one to left center, playable for Tatis. One pitch, one out. Don't forget, right after we're done here, it's Lincoln Mercury post-game live. Much more from the Mets clubhouse. Big nights for Carlos Beltran and Carlos Delgado and David Wright. As the Mets got off early in this game, we'll hear from them. We'll hear from Jerry Manuel as the Mets try and make it 4 straight wins tonight and try to get above 500 for the year. Now Miguel Cairo will bat for Carlos Ruiz. The former Met Cairo has played little and hit less. There's a strike, 0-1.
Yeah, that was the case right there.
Last night against K-Rod, on deck again tonight. Go ahead, Keith.
Phillies trying to hit a long ball there, and Ronnie, we always said, 2-run lead, try to hit it out. Here's a fastball away. Go ahead and try to pull it out of here, and that's what Phillies tried to do. He played right into Rodriguez's hands.
Cairo pops one foul, and it's 0-2.
Really tells you a little bit how the game's changed a little bit, Keith, because in the day, you never would swing at the first pitch when you're down 2 runs. You're trying to get on base anyhow, anyway.
Well, if you get a pitch to hit, you wouldn't be, you can't hit a 2-run home run.
Yeah,
right. Trying to get on base, get things started.
To Cairo. Cairo getting the call here because he has 2 hits and 4 career at bats against K-Rod. But it's awfully tough to come off the bench and face this guy. In the dirt with the curveball, 2-2. Ryan Howard still 5 batters away. K-Rod getting to face the lower part of the lineup in the 9th inning. Well, he's got 2 in the 8th on Worth's home run off Feliciano. Jimmy Rollins 2 batters away. K-Rod hoping he never has to face him. 2-2. Weak ground ball. Reyes hurries in. 2 out. So 2 up and 2 set aside, and the Phillies are down to their final out, and Matt Stairs will come up to bat, even though he will not come up as the tying run.
Keith, is it noticeable the difference in speed from a guy like Tashner and A-Rod now with that fastball?
Yes, and also what's really pronounced, Ronnie, is that Rodriguez throws hard, is you can really tell the difference on how much he takes off his changeup.
If the Mets win this game, they'll be above 500 and just a half game out of first place. And Stairs takes ball 1. So for all the Mets struggle through the opening month of the season, they have made up just about all that ground over these last 5 or 6 days. Stairs pulls one foul. 1-1. 41-year-old Matt Stairs, longtime American League slugger.
And he fits that description. He is a slugger.
He's of the swing as hard as you can and hope it goes a long way school. 1-1. Off speed, misses. 2-1.
We've always talked about everything gets into every throw that Frankie makes. Down here, he's just really puts everything, a lot of effort in every pitch.
And now he's behind on Stairs, 3-1. A walk would bring Rollins to the plate as the tying run. Sandy Alomar running the team after Jerry Manuel was ejected in the 8th inning. 3-1 to Stairs.
And a rocket deep right field, right down the line. It's hooking, and it goes foul into the Pepsi porch, but well fouled. And now the Phillies are down to their final strike.
Well fouled, but boy, what a shot off the bat of Stairs. Great addition to this club. It's great to have a left-handed bat you can bring off the bench with that kind of power.
37,295 on their feet at Citi Field. Breaking ball, and he laid off ball 4, and the tying run will come to bat.
Interesting choice here, Keith. A curveball 3-2 to Stairs with a 2-run lead.
Agreed. You don't want to walk and get the tying run up. He has that kind of confidence with that pitch. He wanted that, I believe it was that 2-1 call, the 1-1 call, the curveball around letter high in the strike zone. He didn't get it from Angel Hernandez.
So now Rollins, who's 1 for 4 tonight, has just 1 home run this year. He's the tying run at the plate. Razor Shine's moving the outfielders. Church playing deep and right against Rollins. This has got to be a no double circumstance with Rollins representing the tying run. Stairs takes off. Mets ignore him. That's defensive indifference. That takes the force away. Santos behind the plate after pinch running for Castro in the last inning.
Remember, guys, that Rodriguez is the first time around the league, and we've seen him enough now where he likes his breaking ball and his changeup throwing out of the strike zone. And Rollins right there, it seemed like maybe they know, hey, guys, got to make him get the ball up. Yeah.
1-0 to Jimmy Rollins. And the curveball in for a strike. 1-2.
I think that Frankie Rodriguez is a lot like the Philadelphia closer. They can get you out by not throwing a strike. That's how good their breaking pitches are.
Victorino, who was involved in the controversial obstruction play in the last inning, is on deck. 1-1 to Rollins. Strike. Found that inside corner with the fastball, and the Phillies are again down to their final out. Generous from Angel Hernandez. Foul back. Caught up to that fastball.
Well, Rollins almost came out of his shoes on that one. It was up and out of the strike zone enough. Ronnie, I don't think he's going to come back with 3 fastballs in a row.
No. You're going to definitely see either the changeup or the slider here. I like changeup better because it's running away.
1-2. Knocked down by Santos. 2-2. Sandy Alomar trying for the save.
There you go. That's good by Santos, going out to talk to the veteran Rodriguez, get on the same wavelength so you don't have to go through a series of signs. What do you want to throw, big guy?
Two and two to Jimmy Rollins. Hopped it up. Castillo going out. He's got the call, and the ball game is over. Frankie Rodriguez, 4 saves in 4 nights, and the Mets are above 500 and now just a half a game out of first place. An early barrage against Jamie Moyer with 3 home runs. Mike Pelfrey 7 innings for the win, and K-Rod slams the door